In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to correctly install and run custom zombies on World at War, Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 3 on your Steam OS device. Whether that be a Steam Deck, a Legion Go, an ROG Ally, whatever it is, so long as it's running Steam OS, this tutorial is for you. Now before we get started, I'll quickly mention that on the top right of the screen, I'll put a link to a very comprehensive video that I recently uploaded that was dedicated to getting the best performance out of all of the supported Call of Duty Zombies games on the Steam OS platform. I recommend following that guide if you want to be able to get the highest frames per second during all of these custom zombies experiences. Subscribe if you're new, and without further ado, let's get started. We'll kick off with the easiest supported game for custom zombies, and that's Black Ops 3. Thankfully, as custom zombies for Black Ops 3 is integrated onto the Steam Workshop, this is a very stress-free process. All you need to do once your Black Ops 3 is installed is you want to head down onto the game info tab, and then there'll be a string of tabs at the bottom of the screen, one of which is Workshop. You want to click on that, and from there you can browse the workshop and subscribe to any of the maps or mods you feel like checking out. You can tap on trending custom experiences on the homepage, or you can press Y to open the hamburger menu and search for something specific. Either way, on each of the pages for each of these maps and mods, all you want to do is scroll down to the subscribe button and hit that. At which point it will start downloading, and all you have to do is wait. Now, one thing that most people might find pretty annoying is that if you have Black Ops 3 installed onto a PC as well, any and all of the maps and mods you've subscribed to on the workshop there will automatically download to the Steam Deck and vice versa, which is a little annoying. You can hide certain maps and mods from appearing in the list, but no matter what you do, both platforms will have the mods and maps downloaded. So you want to bear that in mind when it comes to managing your storage. Anyway, once your maps or mods are downloaded, all you want to do is launch the game. Any mods that you've downloaded will appear conveniently in the mods tab right here on the main menu. From here, you can just play the game like normal. Here in this footage, you can see that I'm using the Ultimate Experience mod by Sphinx, which is an incredible mod that adds so much depth to the general gameplay of Black Ops 3, and I highly recommend it. But there really are countless incredible experiences to explore on the workshop. And conveniently, I've made a bunch of top 5s and a bunch of compilation videos and awards videos that showcase some of the best, and you can check those out on my channel. As for custom maps, they also conveniently appear just in the map selection screen, and you can actually run certain maps and mods in conjunction with one another. So for example, if you feel like running a World at War weapons mod on a remaster of Diner, you can absolutely do that. Not all mods will work on all maps, but you can play around and kind of explore the best combinations. Or of course, you can just run the maps as they were meant to be played without any mods alongside it. Either way, playing and experiencing custom zombies on Black Ops 3, even on a Steam Deck or Steam OS Handheld, is incredibly painless and easy to do. So with that in mind, let's move on to, well, World at War and Black Ops 1, where the same definitely cannot be said. Let's kick off with the easier of the two, and that's World at War. Now, conveniently on the main menu of this game, you will notice a mods tab, and that's where all of the maps and mods are going to go. But to actually install them, the first thing you're going to want to do is close down all your games and head into desktop mode. Next, you'll want to fire up your web browser, whichever web browser you feel like using. Of course, the default is Firefox, which you can find on the taskbar. Now from here, you're just going to want to find whatever maps you feel like downloading. A lot of the maps you can find on the UGX website, and I'll post a link for that in the description. You can also find some on Call of Duty repo, but the bottom line is most of the maps that you find are going to demand that you run an exe file for installation, which does complicate things a little bit. Now, if you do find a download that just brings you to a mod folder or a zip file that contains the map or mod, then that's fine. You can ignore this step. But if the map you've downloaded comes in the form of an exe file or the UGX mod manager, you're going to want to follow these steps carefully. Now, feel free to prepare by opening up your downloads folder with the file explorer, but then what you'll want to do is on the taskbar, you should see an app called Discover, which is kind of like a Linux app store, if you will. Fire that up, and in the most popular section on the home screen, you should see an app called Wine. If you don't see it, just search for it. And once you click on Wine, you want to install it by tapping on the top right corner, and then just wait for it to install. Once that's done, head to your downloads folder, and we're going to break this down based on the scenario. Now, if the map you've downloaded has come in the form of an exe installer that isn't the UGX map manager, so it's basically like an exe that's just titled with the name of the map that you've downloaded, then we're going to talk about setting up that first. All you want to do is double click on it with the right trigger, and now that we've installed Wine, it should give you the option to execute it. Hit that, and Wine will do its first time kind of setup if it's not done already, and then the installer will fire up, and all you need to do is basically just click next on all of it. You don't need to change the path, you don't need to change anything. Just keep hitting next, leave everything at default, and let it do the installation. Now, if at any point you lose control of the mouse and it doesn't seem to respond to your input anymore, all you want to do is hold down the Steam button and use the right stick, and the mouse will work again. Now, once the installer is done installing the map, will then need to retrieve the folder that's been generated and put it in the correct directory. Now, the way we do that is in the file browser, you'll want to navigate to the directory that you see on screen. It should be exactly the same on your device as well. It's a bit of a long directory, but once you get there, you should actually see the folder of the map that's just been installed. And inside that folder, of course, is all of the necessary files. So in the newly generated mods directory, simply cut or copy the folder of the map, and then you want to switch it up and navigate to this directory on screen instead. Again, it should be the exact same on your device as well. Just head into that directory, and once you're there, what you'll want to do is right click by pressing the left trigger and create a new folder. All you want to do is call this folder mods, all lowercase. Now, to be fair, yes, you could have just cut the mods folder that was generated earlier by the installer, but I'm just being extra. Point is, in this directory, you want to make sure that there's a mods folder, all lowercase, and then you want to paste the map folder right into it. Once that's done, that map is now successfully installed. Now, of course, if your download just came with the map folder and didn't come in the form of an exe of any kind, all you want to do is put that map folder in this directory and you're set. But before we fire the game back up again, let's talk about what to do if the map you're trying to download is exclusively available in the UGX map manager. The first thing you'll want to do, of course, after you've downloaded the map manager, is you want to open Steam, still in desktop mode, and then click at the bottom left corner of your library to add a non-Steam game. And all you want to do is navigate to the UGX map manager. Add that as a non-Steam game, and then from there, open the settings for it. Head to properties and then go on to compatibility, at which point you'll want to force a specific Proton compatibility layer. Now, realistically, most of these would work, but the one that I choose to use is Proton Experimental. Now, potentially with future software updates, this whole adding it as a non-Steam game thing might not actually be necessary, and you might be able to just run it with Wine like we did with the exe installer that we touched on earlier. But in my experience, the UGX map manager just doesn't load like that, and so we're using the Proton layers that's found within Steam to make this work. But anyway, once you've done this, you should be able to just hit play within Steam to launch the UGX map manager. It might take a while to launch for the first time, but basically if you hold fire on this kind of voting page and then wait a few minutes and then hit the X, what should happen is the list of maps available to download will come up and the application will run normally. All you want to do from here is comb through the list and install any and all maps that you feel like grabbing. If the map manager gives you any errors when installing maps, just ignore them, because in my experience, they've still worked perfectly fine. But once you've downloaded all of the maps that you want to grab, feel free to close the map manager. And from here, it's a case of doing a very similar thing to what we just did with the map installer EXEs. Effectively, this map manager has installed the maps, but in the wrong location. So all we need to do is go and retrieve them. Now, the directory isn't actually the same as before with this. Because we've added it as a non-Steam game, the directory is a little bit confusing. Once you head to this compat data folder that you see on screen, at this point, you'll see a bunch of folders with different numbers, and these numbers pertain to the games that you have installed. Now, with non-Steam apps, it will have its own number, which is a lot longer than the other ones. So it can be quite hard to find the right one, especially if you have multiple non-Steam games added to your library. And to my understanding, the number is seemingly random. So keep searching through each one until you find the right directory. But on screen, I'll put the directory that I got, but just bear in mind that those long numbers might be different in your case. Once in this directory, you should see pretty much all of the maps that you chose to install. All you want to do is use the right trigger to highlight all of the maps that you've downloaded, use the left trigger to right click, and then cut or copy them. Then you want to navigate to the correct directory where they should be installed, which we visited earlier, but I'll show on screen again anyway. And once you get into this directory, all you want to do is just paste the maps that you've just copied. Once they're all in this folder, at this point, you've successfully installed these maps, and we can close down our file browser and click the return to gaming mode icon found on the desktop. Now, if you want to clean things up a bit, you can. What you want to do is make sure that in the settings of your Steam Deck, you're in developer mode, and then on the UGX map manager, you'll just want to head to the development sub-tab and delete Proton files. That will clean up some of the files we generated earlier, and of course, if you want to, you can remove the map manager from your Steam library altogether. Of course, that isn't necessary. It's only if you want to clean things up a bit. But anyway, at this point, you should be able to fire up World at War, and then from here, just head to your mods folder, and there you'll find all of the maps and mods that you've installed. Double click the right trigger on the one you feel like playing, and from there, it will launch. And then there you have it. You will have successfully installed Custom Zombies experiences onto World at War for your Steam OS handheld. Now again, anything in regards to optimization, navigating the menus, or just getting the game to run in general, all of that stuff has been covered by a recent upload of mine, which I'll link in the description and on screen. But now let's move on to installing custom zombies onto Black Ops 1, which is by far the most complex one out of all of them. And the first thing you're going to want to do is head onto desktop mode and fire up a web browser of your choice. Again, Firefox is the default and is already there on your taskbar, so that's the one that I'm going to use. Next, you're going to want to grab the game mod files that you can find on GitHub. I've posted a link in the description, but an easy way to find it is head to the article found on the UGX website, which has a link to the GitHub page. You'll then want to navigate down into the assets part and download the gamemod.zip file. Whilst that's downloading, this is also a good time to navigate the UGX website, which again I've posted in the description, to find maps and mods that you might want to download. Now, regardless of if you pick a map or a mod, the installation is exactly the same. So just grab what you feel like getting from this website. I mean, I love maps like Perish by Hitman Veer. This is definitely the most iconic custom zombies map for Black Ops 1 in my opinion, but feel free to have a browse and grab whatever you feel like getting. Now, one thing to note, some of the downloads will come in the form of a manual installation in which you're just given the folder with all of the necessary files. But some other installations come in the form of an exe installer. I'm going to show you how to set up custom zombies in both scenarios. And so once everything's been downloaded, you can see that in my case, the Perish custom map has come in the form of a zip file and the Battery custom map has come in the form of an exe. Now, before we get into installing the maps, you're going to first want to set up the game mod. So head into the game mod zip file and then extract the contents into your download folder. Once that's done, head into the newly created game mod folder, use the right trigger to highlight all of the files and folders within it, and then use the left trigger to open up the submenu and cut or copy all of these files. What you'll then want to do is head to the directory that you see on screen. It should be the same on your device as well, and this is effectively the Black Ops 1 root directory for Steam. All you want to do once you get here is use the left trigger and paste all of the files that we just copied. If you get any pop-ups asking if you want to write into folders, just say yes. Now, once that's done, if you're on Windows, what you would normally do is you would add this bo_mods.bat file as a non-Steam game to your library and run it that way. But here on Linux with Steam OS, in my experience, it is very unstable and also isn't compatible with a lot of Proton versions that actually has Black Ops 1 running smoothly, which again is something that I touched on my optimization video that I uploaded previously. In that video, we spoke about how we can actually get 120 frames per second out of Black Ops 1. I tried and tested so many different custom Proton layers to actually make that video and get that information out to the public. So definitely check that video out if you haven't done so already. But long story short, if we just add the bat file as a non-Steam game to launch the modded version of Black Ops 1, those Proton versions that get much better performance simply won't work with it. And so performance when you're running custom maps as well as stability just goes completely out of the window. So what's the solution? Well, what I did is I converted this Windows batch file into a Linux-based shell script. Here's how we do that. First thing you'll want to do in the root directory of Black Ops 1 is press the left trigger to open up the submenu and create a new text file. You'll then be prompted to name it. You can call it literally whatever you want, but what's more important is that you change the file extension from txt to sh. So it'll be whatever you've named it, .sh. Hit OK, and then from here, if you want to be lazy, you can open up the BO1 bat file and copy all of the text within it, because we are basically just going to be making some amendments in order to make it run as a shell script. Now, you're going to have a choice as to what shell script to use here. If you want to do the lazy option, you'll just want to follow this first script shown on screen right now that I've labeled number 1. This is by far the easiest way to do this, and running this will work, but it won't correctly set a Proton layer that will boost performance. So if you're someone who followed my optimization tutorial, or you're using a specific version of Proton that you find best for Black Ops 1, then you're going to want to follow this other script instead. Now, it's very important that you see here in this Proton directory that you set it to the correct Proton layer that you're trying to use for the game. Now, I'm using a custom Proton layer, which is 6.8 GE1. And so the path that you see in the script will lead to the Proton file of that particular Proton version. But if that's not the Proton layer that you're choosing to use, then you're going to want to change that path to the one that you are. For example, here on screen, I'm showing what that path would look like if you were to lead it to Steam's official Proton 10 compatibility layer. So the choice is really yours as to how you do this shell script, but if you want the best possible performance, you're going to want to make sure that you've set it to a Proton layer that runs Black Ops 1 very well, which again is something that if you're not understanding, I did go through in my optimization video. And yes, the hashtag exclamation mark nonsense that you see at the top is necessary, so please include it. Once you've typed out the shell file correctly, click on file at the top left corner and of course save it. What you'll then want to do is highlight the file and then hit the left trigger and go down to properties. From there, navigate to the permissions tab and tick the box that says allow executing file as program. From there, hit OK at the bottom and then just double check and make sure that the box is definitely ticked. This is absolutely necessary to make this whole thing work. Now, once you've saved it, what you're going to want to do is open Steam, still in desktop mode, head to library and click on the bottom left corner to add a non-Steam game. And of course, now we're going to navigate to that shell script that we just made within the Black Ops 1 root directory. Add that script as a non-Steam game. Next, you want to head up to compatibility and you want to force a Proton compatibility layer. This is necessary to get it to run, and you can pick any of the recent Proton versions if you like, but if you followed my optimization guide, you'll know that the best choice is a custom Proton version called Proton 6.8 GE1. I did detail in my video how to install it, so I won't go over that here, but that Proton version is definitely the best in my opinion in terms of performance. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is head onto the Discover kind of Linux store on your taskbar, go to most popular or search for it, but basically you're going to want to make sure that the Wind app is installed. If you haven't installed it, just click on it and tap install on the top right corner. Once you've confirmed that as well, you can then head back into the gaming mode through the shortcut on the desktop. From here, you should be able to boot up the shell script. Now, don't worry, I know it looks ugly right now. We can dress it up and I'll show you guys how to do that. But the first time you run it, you may or may not get a pop-up that says Steam must be running in order to play this game. If you get that pop-up, don't worry, just hit OK. The game will crash and then you just hit play again and then miraculously it will just work. Now, if you get any pop-ups asking if you'd like to change any of the settings, I recommend pressing no. But all you want to do here is make sure that it booted successfully and that you can actually see the mods part of the main menu. If you can see mods as an option on the main menu, you've done this step correctly and you can now close the game. Now, in my case, at this stage, I take this now as an opportunity to head back into desktop mode and clean up the game a little bit. The way we do that is we head into our web browser, look up Steam Grid DB. I'll also post a link in the description. And then from here, you can download a bunch of artwork for the game to make it look a lot more attractive. You can download covers, you can download logos and banners, and you can also download application icons as well. All you want to do is in Steam in desktop mode, you want to use the left trigger to kind of highlight different parts of our custom game mod application that you don't like. For example, the empty banner, you can hit the left trigger on that and set custom artwork there. You can do the same with the logo, and you can head into properties as well to change the name and also set an icon. This of course just makes everything look a lot better and a lot more cohesive with the rest of your library. But once you've got the game looking how you want to, we can then jump to the next part in which we head into the settings of our non-Steam game mod version of Black Ops 1. Head down to the controller settings and click disable Steam input from this drop box right here. Make sure you don't do this for the actual Black Ops game, but only for the shell script that we launch in order to get the modded version working. Now, the necessity for this is actually dictated by the Proton version that you choose. So if by doing this and actually following this step, it actually breaks the controls in the game, then just ignore it and put the control input back to default settings. Or run the game with a different version of Proton set in the compatibility tab. But once you've done all of that, we're now ready to actually install some custom content. Navigate to your downloads folder where you downloaded the maps and mods that you grabbed from earlier, and let's break down what to do if you get a manual installation like I've done with Perish. Don't worry, we'll go over EXEs as well, but with zip files, all you want to do is open the zip file and extract it into your downloads folder. Now navigate to the newly extracted folder, which should just be titled to the map or mod that you've downloaded, and then use the left trigger to open the submenu and cut or copy it. From there, you'll want to head to the Black Ops 1 root directory where we did our shell script earlier. And from there, you want to use the left trigger and create a new folder. Title this folder mods with all lowercase. Enter the mods folder that you've just made and then paste the map or mod that you grabbed from your downloads folder. And then at that point, you've successfully installed that custom content and it will be ready to play. But before we do that, let's talk about what to do with EXEs. So some of the maps that you'll find on the UGX website especially will be downloaded as a UGX installer And with these, you'll need to make sure that you have Wine installed from the Discover store, which is something that we did touch on earlier in this tutorial. The Discover store is located on the taskbar, and Wine is found in the most popular programs. What you'll then be able to do is double click on the UGX mods installer and you'll have the option to execute it, at which point the program will load just like it would on Windows, and you want to just hit next through all of the steps. You don't want to change the path location, you don't want to change anything, just keep hitting next and let the installer do its thing. Now once it's done, you might not get any confirmation, the program might just literally close on itself, at which point you want to head to this directory shown on screen. It's quite a long directory, but make sure that you follow it exactly how I've displayed it, and you should find the exact location where the map or mod was just installed to. From there, you want to cut or copy that folder and then paste it into the mods folder that we created in the root directory of Black Ops 1. The Black Ops 1 root directory is shown on screen now, and you'll just want to make sure that the folder you're pasting your map or mod folder into is just called mods, all lowercase. Anyway, once you've pasted your custom content into that folder, it is now installed. And at this point, we can use the shortcut on the desktop to head back into gaming mode. Now from here, you'll notice that your shell script, or the modded version of Black Ops 1, if you will appear as a non-Steam game. Once you fire it up, you should be able to head into the mod section and find all of the maps and mods that you installed earlier. From which point you can just load it up and run it. Now, one thing to mention here and now is that sometimes things take 1 or 2 attempts to boot, and the game mod for Black Ops 1 is pretty unstable. Even with all of the tricks that we've done in today's video, it can still crash occasionally. Now again, if you need any kind of help with navigating the menus or getting the highest possible frame rate, that's stuff that I detailed in my other video. But at this stage, you'll have successfully gotten custom content running on Black Ops 1 on your Steam OS device. I mean, there's definitely some underrated gems, especially for Black Ops 1, that are just honestly so fun to play in this form factor. It is so cool that we're able to do this even though Steam OS is running on Linux instead of Windows. And all things considered, it's genuinely impressive what these handhelds can actually do. I mean, as you can see in this tutorial, I'm using the Lenovo Legion Go S, but this is actually the lower end model, and yet it's still capable of achieving incredible frame rates on some of the most demanding custom content around. Genuinely, I love these things. But that wraps up this video, lads, ladies and gentlemen. I do hope you enjoyed it. I do hope you found it useful. If you did, please do show some support. I did spend a lot of time working a lot of this stuff out. So if you could, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.